Welcome you all. Today we're going to see about cardiac auscultation. Auscultation of a heart requires excellent hearing and the ability to distinguish subtle difference in pitch and timing. Hearing impaired healthcare practitioner can use amplified stethoscopes. High pitched sounds are best heard with the diaphragm of the stethoscope. Low pitched sounds are best heard with the bell. Very little pressure should be exerted when using the bell. Excessive pressure converts the underlying skin into a diaphragm and eliminates very low pitched sounds. The entire precordium is eliminated, examined systematically, typically beginning over the apical impulse with the patient in the left lateral decubitus position. The patient rolls supine and auscultation continues at the lower left sternal border. Proceed cephaloid with auscultation of each interspace, then chorded from the right upper sternal border. The clinician also listens over the left axilla and above the clavicles. The patient sits upright for auscultation of the bag, then leans forward to aid auscultation of aortic and pulmonic diastolic murmurs or pericardial frictional rub. Major auscultatory finding includes heart sounds, murmur, and rubs. Heart sounds. Heart sounds are brief, transient sounds produced by valve opening and closure. They are divided into systolic and diastolic sounds. Murmurs are produced by blood flow turbulence and are more prolonged than heart sounds. They may be systolic, diastolic, or continuous. They are graded by intensity and are described by their location and when they occur within the cardiac cycle. Murmur are graded in intensity on a scale of 1 to 6. Rubs. Rubs are high pitched, scratchy sounds, often with two or three separate components. During tachycardia, the sound may be almost continuous. The clinician focuses attention sequentially on each phase of the cardiac cycle, noting each heart sounds and murmur intensity, pitch, duration, and timing of the sounds, and the interval between them are analyzed, often providing an accurate diagnosis. A diaphragm of the major auscultatory and palpatory findings of a precordium should be routinely drawn in the patient's chart each time the patient's cardiovascular system is examined. Systolic heart sounds. Systolic sounds include first heart sound, clicks, S1, and second heart sound are normal components of the cardiac cycle, just like lup dub sound. S1. S1 occurs just after the beginning of systole and it is predominantly due to mitral closure but may also include tricuspid closure components. It is often split and has a high pitch. S1 is loud in mitral stenosis. It may be soft or absent in mitral regurgitation due to valve leaflet sclerosis and rigidity but is often distinctly heard in mitral regurgitation due to myxomatous degeneration of the mitral apparatus or due to ventricular myocardial abnormality. Example, papillary muscle dysfunction, ventricular dilatation. Clicks. Clicks occurs only during systole. They are distinguished from S1 and S2 by their high pitched and brief duration. Some clicks occur at different times during systole as hemodynamic changes. Clicks may be simple, that is single, or multiple. Clicks in congenital aortic or pulmonic stenosis are thought to result from abnormal ventricular wall tension. These clicks occur early in systole and are not affected by hemodynamic changes. Similar clicks occur in severe pulmonary hypertension. Clicks in mitral or tricuspid valve prolapse typically occur in mid to late systole are thought to result from abnormal tension on redundant and elongated chordae tendineae or valve leaflet. Clicks due to myxomatous degeneration of valves may occur anytime during systole but move towards a first heart sound during whenever that transiently decreases ventricular filling volume. If ventricular filling volume is increased, that is during supine position, click moved towards second heart sound, particularly in mitral valve prolapse. For unknown reason, characteristics of clicks may vary greatly between examination and clicks may come and go. Diastolic heart sounds. Diastolic heart sounds include second heart sound, third heart sound, fourth heart sounds, diastolic knocks, and mitral valve sounds. Unlike systolic sounds, diastolic sounds are low pitched, they are softer in intensity and longer in duration. Except for second heart sound, these sounds are usually abnormal in adults, although third heart sound may be physiologic up to age 40 and also during pregnancy. Second heart sounds occur at the beginning of diastole due to aortic and pulmonic valve closure. Aortic valve closure normally precedes pulmonic valve closure unless the former is late or the latter is early. Aortic valve closure is late in left bundle branch block or aortic stenosis. Pulmonic valve closure is early in some forms of pre-excitation phenomena. Delay pulmonic valve closure may result from increased blood flow through the right ventricle or complete right bundle branch block. Increased right ventricular flow in atrial septal defect also abolishes the normal respiratory variation in aortic and pulmonary valve closure, producing a fixed split S2. Left to right shunt with normal right ventricular volume flow do not cause fixed splitting. A single second heart sound may occur when the aortic valve is regurgitant, severely stenotic, or atretic. Third heart sound. Third heart sound occurs in early diastole when the ventricle is dilated and non-compliant. It occurs during passive diastolic ventricular filling and usually indicates serious ventricular dysfunction in adults. In children, it can be normal, sometimes persisting even at age 40. Third heart sound may be normal during pregnancy. Right ventricular third heart sound is heard best during inspiration with the patient supine position. Left ventricular third heart sound is best heard during expiration with the patient in the left lateral decubitus position. Fourth heart sound is produced by augmented ventricular filling caused by atrial contraction near the end of diastole. It is similar to third heart sound and heard best or only with the bell of the stethoscope. During inspiration, right ventricular fourth heart sound increases and left ventricular fourth heart sound decreases. The fourth heart sound is heard much more often than third heart sound and it indicates a lesser degree of ventricular dysfunction, usually diastolic. Fourth heart sound is absent in atrial fibrillation but is almost always present in active myocardial ischemia or soon after myocardial infarction. S3 with or without fourth heart sound is usually in insignificant systolic left ventricular dysfunction. Fourth heart sound without third heart sound is usually in diastolic left ventricular dysfunction. A summation gallop occurs when third heart sound and fourth heart sound are present in a patient with tachycardia with shortened diastole so that the second heart sound, two sounds merges. So loud third heart sound and loud fourth heart sound may be palpable at the apex when the patient is in the left lateral decubitus position. A diastole knock occurs at the same time as third heart sound in early diastole. It is not accompanied by fourth heart sound and is a louder thudding sound which indicates abrupt arrest of ventricular filling by non-compliant constricted pericardium. An opening snap may occur in early diastole in mitral stenosis or rarely in tricuspid stenosis. Mitral opening snap is very high pitched, brief, and heard best with the diaphragm of the stethoscope. The more severe mitral stenosis, the closer the opening snap to the pulmonary component of second heart sound. Intensity is related to the compliance of the valve leaflet. The snap sound loud when leaflet remains elastic, but it gradually softens and ultimately disappears as sclerosis, fibrosis, and calcification of the valve develops. Mitral opening snap, although sometimes heard at the apex, is often heard best or only at the lower left sternal border. Approach to murmur. Timing of the murmur in the cardiac cycle correlates with the cause of auscultatory finding, correlate with specific heart valve disorders. Various maneuvers like inspiration, Valsalva, hand grip, squatting, and amyl nitrate inhalation can modify cardiac physiology slightly, making differentiation of the cause of heart murmur possible. All patients with heart murmurs are evaluated by chest X-ray, electrocardiography. Most require echocardiography to confirm the diagnosis, determine severity, and track severity over time. Usually, a cardiac consultation is obtained if significant disease is suspected. Systolic murmur. Systolic murmur may be normal or abnormal. They may be early, mid, or late systole or holosystolic. Systolic murmur may be divided into ejection, regurgitant, and shunt murmurs. Ejection murmurs are due to turbulent forward flow through narrowed or irregular valves or outflow tracts. They are typically mid-systole and have a crescendo diminuendo character that usually becomes louder and longer as flow becomes more obstructed. The greater the stenosis and turbulence, the longer the crescendo phase and shorter the diminuendo phase. Systolic ejection murmur may occur without hemodynamically significant outflow tract obstruction and thus do not necessarily indicate a disorder. In normal infants and children, flow is often mildly turbulent, producing soft ejection murmurs. The elderly often have ejection murmurs due to valve and vessel sclerosis. During pregnancy, many women have soft ejection murmurs at the second intercostal space to the left or right of the sternum. The murmurs occur because a physiological increase in blood volume and cardiac output increases flow velocity through normal structures. The murmur may be greatly exaggerated if severe anemia complicates the pregnancy. These murmurs are distinct from the venous hum, sometimes caused by engorged breast vessels during pregnancy. Regurgitant murmurs represent retrograde or abnormal flow into chambers that are at low resistance. They are typically holosystolic and tend to be louder with high velocity, low volume regurgitation or shunts, and softer with high volume regurgitations or shunts. Late systolic murmur, which may or may not be preceded by a click, are typical of mitral valve prolapse or papillary muscle dysfunction. Various maneuvers are usually required for more accurate diagnosis of timing and type of murmurs. Shunt murmurs may originate at the site of the shunt or result from altered hemodynamics remote from the shunt. Diastolic murmur. Diastolic murmur are always abnormal. Most are early or mid diastolic, but they may be late diastolic too. Early diastolic murmurs are typically due to aortic regurgitation or pulmonic regurgitation. Mid diastole murmur are typically due to mitral stenosis or tricuspid stenosis. A late diastolic murmur may be due to rheumatic mitral stenosis in a patient in sinus rhythm. A mitral or tricuspid murmur due to an atrial tumor or thrombus may be evanescent and may vary with position and from one examination to the next because the position of the intracardiac mass changes. Continuous murmur. Continuous murmur occur throughout the cardiac cycle. They are always abnormal, indicating a constant shunt flow throughout systole and diastole. They may be due to various cardiac defects. Some defect produces a thrill. Many are associated with signs of right ventricular hypertrophy and left ventricular hypertrophy. As pulmonary artery resistance increases in shunt lesion, the diastole component gradually decreases. When pulmonary and systemic resistance equalizes, the murmur may disappear. Patent ductus arteriosus murmurs are loudest at the second intercostal space, just below the medial end of the left clavicle. Aorticopulmonary window murmurs are central and heard at the third intercostal space. Murmurs of systemic arteriovenous fistula are best heard directly over the lesion. Those of pulmonic arteriovenous fistulas and pulmonary artery branch stenosis are more often more diffuse and heard throughout the chest. When circulation is increased, as occurs during the pregnancy, anemia, and hyperthyroidism, a continuous venous hum is often heard in the right supraclavicular fossa. This venous hum also occurs normally in children. The sound generated by increased flow in a dilated internal mammary artery may be mistaken for a continuous cardiac murmur. A mammary shuffle is typically heard best over the breast at the level of the right and left second or third intercostal space, and although often classified as continuous and is usually louder during systole. Pericardial friction rub. Thank you.